So all of this, it's a little grim for a nice evening discussion with friends, but it also suggests that we ought to be thinking about this in a more serious and strategic way as a country, as a world, than we are right now. It's unfortunately not one of these stories. Believe me, I'm the biggest optimist in the planet, but this one isn't so easy to just say, 5 things we should do, and we got it made.
Reproducing is one thing. We don't have a water problem, we've got a reproduction problem. We've got too many people taxing the environment.
We have 6.8 billion people. We're adding 75 to 80 million a year right now, still net population increase. The rate has come down. The absolute number, given this huge base of people, has remained 75 to 80 million. That means you wait another 12 to 15 years, another billion people on the planet. And the trajectory is that we'll reach and exceed 9 billion people by mid-century. And the populations, ironically, are increasing in the poorest places of the world. Systematically, you can understand why. There are no clinics, there's no family planning, there's no contraceptive availability, girls aren't in school, all the things which lead to a voluntary reduction of fertility rates, but it's building up a problem of tremendous, tremendous significance.
Well, I have one solution, but Peter, jump in here. What do you want to say about all of this?
Well, there's definitely a population issue, but there's also an awareness issue. And the fact that you know, we've got a increased water tension situation all over the globe, here in North America and here in the Great Lakes region, which is ironic given how water rich we are here. But there are, you know, areas for huge developments in efficiency with water use and huge developments in efficiency with particularly water conservation. And the irony is here in North America, North Americans use more water per capita than anyone else in the world. And some studies say the Canadians use more per capita than Americans or whatever. It's very close, it doesn't really matter. It's we're way off the charts compared to others. And so, you know, I think we need to do more as a continent to appreciate water, understand that it is so precious and valuable, and really start to lead the world in, you know, being a role model for water conservation and efficiency.
I think it's also striking that, as you write about, here we're in the most plentiful freshwater region of the whole world, literally. I mean, right here. Right. It's extraordinary. Of course, the Great Lakes is this unique natural reserve of reservoir of fresh water, not in ice, and also we're in a humid mid-latitude climate, as people found out today again. Right. And that is also an extraordinary thing. But you've written a whole compelling book about how even here there's no water to waste. And by the time all of the demands on it are, if ever they were taken, the ecology of this region, the basic needs also couldn't be met, even in this epicenter of water access. Right. And so you think about what a place is like that isn't at, I don't know how many millimeters rainfall there is in Chicago, but
it's 36 inches roughly, yes, give or take.
36 inches, so with 1,000 millimeters, basically a meter of rain. Right. And a lot of the places that we're working are 1/5 of that. And not only that, of course, there are no Great Lakes nearby. Right. There's no place easy to tap for irrigation, and the climate systematically, this is one of the issues of climate change that's worth reflecting on. Pretty systematically, the climatologists who hate anything to be summarized by any single sentence because it is so complicated, do agree with the proposition that in general, the dry places will get drier. The wet places will get wetter through more extreme events. The dry places will get drier. And so that band of about 2 billion people living in these dryland stressed areas, which is that band also of conflict that we see in the Middle East, in the Horn of Africa, in Somalia, and so on, is also in the line of fire for worse. And that's what keeps me up at night, frankly.
Well, Peter's described this as the Himalayas of water. I mean, we take it for granted, don't we, how fortunate we are, how rich our lives are because of where we live.
No, we really do, and that's sort of a pet peeve that I have, and it's one of the reasons I wrote the book. I mean, we learn about the Himalayas in school here, and children around the world learn about the Great Lakes where they are. And yet we're here on the edge of the Himalayas of water.
And they probably say there can't be a place with so much water.
That's right. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Fresh water.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's important to realize. So we have 20% of all the fresh surface water on the planet right outside this door. But it's important to realize that this is a gift from the glaciers 10,000 years ago. So think of it like a water bank account deposited by these glaciers, and that the vast majority, only 1% of the water in the Great Lakes Basin, just 1%, is renewed annually through rainfall, snowfall, and groundwater recharge. So think of it, again, this water bank account, it has this 1% of water interest flowing through the system on an annual basis, and we need to be absolutely certain that we don't encroach on the principal in that bank account in the future.
I got an idea. Let's encroach on the principle. Let's sell our water to the rest of the world the way they're selling us petroleum. They need it, we got it. Seems to work with the other liquid in the earth. How about this one?
We could run out of both of them in 50 years. That's
great.
Okay.
Well, no, then why not?
Your glass was half full, right. But it's starting to get a little bit half empty.
Hold on. Just so you know, I'm going to fill it up again.
Wait, we're running out. The bank account's being depleted.
But John, I want to pick up on that point. I mean, it's important to realize that water and oil are different in more than just, their viscosity and what they look like and what they're used for. If all the oil disappeared tomorrow, the world would be a very different place. But life would go on. If all the water disappeared tomorrow, life as we know it would halt.
I would say life would halt.
Okay, life would halt. Life would halt. And so we can't fall into this assumption that oil and water are the same and we can just chase people all over the globe with water, et cetera. So ecosystems, not just humans, but ecosystems depend on water. And if you oversubscribe a water supply, then you are hurting the ecosystem upon which your local society or global society depends.
I think there's one similarity to part of it, though, that also can be helpful, which is that we call oil a fossil fuel, of course, because it was made in geologic time by the decomposition of organic matter and turned into this hydrocarbon from carbohydrates, essentially. A lot of the water that we use is fossil water in the same way, and in a way the Great Lakes, it's not exactly that, but it's close to that. It's water that was put down in the past. It's not simply the rainfall renewal of what's called the hydrologic cycle. So the water that is being discharged from those aquifers under the farms of the Indian farmers is fossil water. The recharge rate of those aquifers is 100th or 1,000th of the rate that it's being taken out. The water that we're using in the Midwest for our whole core farm system throughout the Midwest states is an underground source, the Ogallala aquifer, which is a giant aquifer, but it's being depleted the same way. The water in the glaciers is fossil water in a sense. It's not exactly, but close. Once it disappears, it's gone.